Yeah! Woo! Yeah! Another episode! Woo! Man, we had that weird hiatus like 2 weeks ago. So glad we're back. Matt, we even have stuff to kind of talk about this week. I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff. Question we're posing today, Mike, may actually have some staying power. People might actually watch this episode.
Yeah.
Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe a week from now. Maybe 2 weeks from now.
Maybe a year from now. Matt, I'm very excited. Here we go, buddy. Matt and everybody else, hello. Welcome to a WWE shade slinging, commentary fumbling, WWE. Anyway, Matt, we're going to talk the tag team top 50. We're going to be celebrating it all over this episode. Matt, it's the Brothers of Discussion. Yes. We're going to take a look at WWE's top 50 tag teams. Put together a top 5 of our own. Matt, I put together, I would say, the funnest top 5. And hopefully, judging by some of the giggles when I bring up some of their career accolades, you'll join in as well. And finally, Matt, the midweek Festival of Friendship celebration. As both NXT and AEW are on at reasonable hours again. Matt, no more of this pandering to the West Coast with this 10 p.m. Friday night start time for AEW Dynamite. Matt, things are kind of getting back to normal. I haven't been this excited since we ended COVID. Matt, it's been a hot, spicy week and actually getting pretty mild here for the big July 4th holiday here. Matt, how are things at the Casa de Eddie? How are things over there?
It's gonna heat up. It's gonna be like 90, I think, at the start of next week, which as global warming has its way with the planet, not as hot. Canada just broke a record for the hottest temperature it's ever recorded. So we're not gonna get that hot, but it's gonna get a little bit hotter.
I was actually just listening to Conan O'Brien interview Bill Burr, and he was telling people to like calm down about, when things upset you on social media or you see, problems that are bothering you. Don't worry about them. They're going to get solved. I mean, not global warming, but a lot of the other problems are probably going to be okay.
I love that his stylings or like his general direction had gone you could reasonably say it's skewed. He probably even said so. It's skewed like libertarian, but even the way the planet's going right now, like he was still like, nah, I can't do it anymore. I gotta fuck this. I don't terrible impression, but I gave it a shot. I'm okay.
He's even with Bill Burr, who I think he loosens a lot of sphincters, as far as saying things you probably wouldn't normally say. So even with, Bill Burr opening up the filters, Conan still made that comment. But Matt, where can the beautiful people find everything, Brothers of Discussion?
I meant Bill Burr making that. That was my Bill Burr
impression.
That was a
Bill Burr?
Not my Conan impression.
That was so not a Bill Burr. I assumed it was your Conan. That needs some work. Man, where can the beautiful people find us? And
you can find us at brothersofdiscussion.com, bodpodcast.com, at bodpodcast on Twitter. You can see in the upper left corner. If you are watching on YouTube, please go to the bottom right corner and hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit those notifications so you never miss a beat with the Brothers of Discussion, because, Mike, there's nothing better than a live BOD Dynamite. Wait. You know what I'm saying. There's
nothing like fresh BO. Gotcha.
Stupid JR. He's old. I'm sure.
How dare you?
I'm breaking the fourth wall here, sharing everything to Facebook and Twitter. There we go. Amy, how are you doing? Thank you for joining. Fethdar, how are you, my man? Good to see you back.
What's going
on? All right. So, Mike, we have a lot of things that AEW mentioned WWE in a couple of different ways this week.
I'm very excited to talk about like the tag team stuff, but we got to give this at least a few minutes because it really made people explode.
This is the thing. From my point of view, is I actually was like, all right, you know what I'm going to do this week on Twitter? This is the little background you see behind the scenes here. I'm going to go to trends, and I'm going to try and jump on some of those trends, and I'm going to talk about what everybody else is talking about. And I tried it twice this week, and both times it was about AEW talking about WWE. The first time, yes, Mike, you're typing it in the notes right now. Bully Ray's comments. Here we go. I'm going to stay in your fucking lane, is what Bully Ray said. Now, what Eddie Kingston said, and this is what Bully Ray's talking about, was you're not going to see this on the other show. You're not going to see Jungle Boy on the other channel. We care about you. They don't care about you. They don't care about the audience. All right, so that was more like a Taz, also mixed with a 12-year-old, pre-pubescent. Less Eddie Kingston, more child, more Taz.
I thought that was another attempt at Conan O'Brien. You're getting deeper. Yeah. No, that was Bill Burr again. Okay, good one, man.
So here's of course he's referencing WWE. Eddie even spoke about it later and said this is him supporting his company. This is him doing the rah-rah. This is him being a fan of what he does. Now, in his comparison to this is what he likened it to. He said this would be similar to the NFL saying it's better than the NBA or the NHL. Now, Eddie, valiant effort. Here's my first thought. And I've said it a million times on the show. They absolutely need to cut this shit out and just focus on AEW. I jumped on the trend, and I completely agreed with Bully Ray. Eddie Kingston, with his flub of comparing and saying, I want to play this game a little bit, and saying that the NFL would do this, or that the NBA would do this to the NHL is laughable. Or that the NFL would do it to the NBA. They know who the king is. The NFL is the king. The NFL is never going to talk about the NBA, the NHL, or Major League Baseball unless it's, not even joking. No, they're never going to mention it. They know they are the only thing that matters. So to what Eddie was bringing up, almost helped make the point that we've been making since AEW started. Watch commercials for Sprint and AT&T. Who's still around? All they do is talk about we're getting almost as good as Verizon. Oh, we're so close. Now, granted, the last few weeks I've turned really sour on WWE. It's been really easy for me to skip shows, and just catch up later. Sticking to NXT like that. Then I just go, what do I want to watch? I want to watch NXT.
Yeah.
So it's not like what Eddie's saying is wrong, but what you're doing is the loser's mentality. You saying these things is the sore loser sort of mentality. And here's the best example, because we're talking about entertainment. Best example is in the later seasons of one of my favorite shows of all time, Scrubs, which I highly recommend you don't watch because it has not aged well. Very racist. It's just one of those things where you go, wow, this is awful, terrible writing. Anyway, in the later seasons, they used to keep coming back to the fact that a show called House copied one of the main characters from Scrubs. And they did it all the time and even focused an entire episode on this. House would win awards. The actor who played the said copied character would win awards. Scrubs would win nothing, would never even be nominated. What I saw when I saw that live was just a angry little kid who's like, I came up with that character. I should get all the awards. And that's coming from a guy who said that was his favorite show. I had all the DVDs.
I actually kind of like that John C. McKinley episode, if I may.
Where he's got a cane. And
he's got a cane. He's limping around.
Problem.
House style. Yeah. We're definitely aging this podcast by bringing up, was it early 2000s sitcom?
Well, point being, I just wanted to bring it to the fact that was my favorite show, and I was watching it going, ugh. Oh man, this is Yikes.
I think DreamWorks would definitely, throw some shade at Pixar. I don't think Disney and Pixar have ever said Dream and Works together, and they're literally the Dream Studios on the Florida campus. Yeah, I think that part of Eddie Kingston's problem is that every time an ex-WWE guy comes over, they cut some promo like that, and to an extent, I think it kind of works because Cody was misused, so he does have room to say something. Jericho, lost to Fandango at WrestleMania. I think he's got room. Miro as Rusev, criminally underused. Another guy, absolutely. Go ahead and say something. But Eddie Kingston, unless, we all kind of had that smarky knowledge that he auditioned for them and they said, nah, you're not the type that we're looking for. And we all know that this guy's a legend on the microphone. When Bully Ray was, undressing this promo by Kingston, he even, prefaced it by saying, if I had to, basically pick somebody to give a promo to save my life, I would pick Eddie Kingston. He's one of the greatest, ever. Like the delivery, the conviction. Nobody's doubting that, but I would give it a rest. I would at this point, unless it's, Nikki Cross leaving WWE, because we were kind of obviously we're kind of torn with her new superhero angle because we want the best for her. But if she said
Right.
They didn't quite give me what, it's got to be somebody like that. It's got to be somebody who was kind of buried on the card, never given a chance to shine. I think you can still kind of get away with those because there's still some honesty behind it. But Kingston, there's a better way to toss up, AEW as, being in the upper echelons of the gods. And I don't think that, continually jabbing like that is the best way to do it. So, it's, I don't know if it's not as bad as that weird Cody promo about race relations. But it's not people's favorite, and for good reason. And I think it's going to be fine because the next thing he says is probably going to be dazzling and hilarious and intellectual, and will touch us in some way that few wrestling speakers can. So this is definitely not one of his best, and I think we'll be fine going forward. But this one, definitely try to forget as soon as you can.
Yeah, and I'd hope that at some point the guys who need to give their promos for the chance they weren't given in WWE eventually falls they get the monkey off their back because like you mentioned, Cody Rhodes. I mean, he's running his own company now. I'd like to think that's where you want. That's the laser beam focus. I don't know. All right, so Mike, the WWE was mentioned again in AEW programming. But we should point out too, I don't think I did say this, but that Eddie Kingston thing was off air, but certainly on air. As we sign off, JR, let us know or ask the question: is there anything better than a live WWE Dynamite? Ooh. And as my phone auto-corrected, as I can see now, JR ducked up again. So Matt ducked up while he was putting his notes in there. So it happens. But certainly, Mike. As I had a conversation this morning on Twitter when I made my jokes, brought up the old SpongeBob gif. How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? Oh, I love the young people.
Listen, I mean, the greats make mistakes. Marv Albert's about to retire, and he's been making mistakes recently. Mike Breen's getting up there. He's been, making some oopses. And I get it. They've been in the game for a while. They're older guys. It's just so funny that they have to realize, they're not as sharp as they were in their prime. It's going to happen to us. For the big go home promo, I probably would have gave it to Excalibur or Shivani or even Jericho to announce, the start of going live again. For AEW that they're leaving Daly's place, but he's got that iconic voice, and sometimes we got to go through a few fumbles and bumbles. I can't hate him, but it does surprise me that they haven't quite changed the production.
Fumbles and bumbles, fine. This is the opportunity though, Mike, that we need as wrestling fans to ask AEW to just let go. Like, it's not like he's bringing all he brings right now is the nostalgic voice, because he's not giving us great content. If he doesn't fumble, what is he giving us? Did we really need to hear him say nothing better than AEW Dynamite? Like, no, I didn't need to hear that. He's not giving us his best JR, and he's clearly messing up every chance he gets, and he puts down the divisions that are represented in AEW all the time on accident. Surely he's not trying to do it, but the problem is that he's trying to look really smart, and in doing so, he puts down the talent that's in front of him.
Do you think it's weird that they had a pre-recorded segment and then they rolled the dice on their iffiest commentator to do a live announcement of it? Why didn't we pre-record that? I don't know. I can't kill him. I mean, I say bowling shoe ugly in my everyday vernacular. Put a couple in the back of his head. Okay. Give him his favorite treat in the backyard. Put him down. No, we're just giving him a lot of flack. It's a very difficult job, but I'm just surprised that after so many, that they didn't kind of pivot away or just kind of pre-record. Just kind of an odd decision there. But
I gotta. This is from our other show, of course. North Moto coming in with the Red Wing Dick. He's looking for his T-shirt. You know what, North Moto, while you're here, did we get your email so I could start making that for you? So I can start workshopping what the Red Wing Dick is gonna be. Check out Red Wing's rant. When we go, we'll post the episodes every Monday and Thursday. You guys can see what we're talking about there. Inside jokes. Hey, that's what YouTube channels are all about. Okay. Mike, you're not ready to get rid of JR. You're okay if AEW mentions WWE, kind of.
Matt, we're on the payroll. Agree? Everything they do is great. What a promo by Kingston. Heck of an introduction by JR. Loved it.
Oh, isn't it so cute when he messes up for the millionth time and we could just have any other human do this job? We owe him the world. Why? All right, Mike, moving on. I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm just that's the argument. I'm sick of it. Just get rid of the old man. I'm good. Should I do that? Is that fair? Is that I end the argument like that and I don't give you another shot?
Go ahead, Matt. You did it. Let's do the fun part of this show. This is what I'm excited about.
New Day listed as the greatest tag team of all time by WWE. Mike, here's my tweet today. I know I keep saying as if the breaking news is my Twitter.
Matt broke the news today on our Twitter feed.
I said, first of all, these lists are just for fun, so I can't get angry about it. Number two, I think we are going to look back at this tag team and go, holy crap. Like these guys at some point have all become world champions. This really was one of the greatest tag teams / factions ever. I'm talking like 10, 15 years down the road here. Number three, Mike, in an era where WWE was labeled as like the dead tag team era, they stayed relevant and were like so relevant that they were all over the map. Xavier Woods now has shows on the new restarted G4 channel for doing video game shows. I mean, his YouTube channel speaks for itself. Like that guy is a celebrity in his own right. And for that matter, we kept seeing Usos and New Day matches. Jesus, I mean, back-to-back pay-per-views, but we didn't care. Like at this point now, if we see two of the same matches in back-to-back Monday Night Raws, we're gavobbing all over ourselves. But that was what we were begging for, was another Usos and New Day bout, and that's because they were so talented and they would refresh everything. And again, I say they did this during an era where tag team wrestling in the WWE was certainly not a priority. And like I said, some labeled it as a dead era in WWE history for tag team wrestling. But Mike, gotta say, and you pointed this out to me when this first happened. So hopefully I can pull this up. I'm not going to be able to. The logo, if I may, or the mascot for the New Day, and getting past WWE PR, the blind unicorn.
Woo. Yeah, that's not suitable for work. Don't look that up on Urban Dictionary.
If you needed four reasons to respect these guys, that's it right there. So I'm throwing those out there. The blind unicorn making this division.
Just if you look it up, make sure you look up the text. Do not do a Google image search. Those images will haunt your memory for the rest of your days.
That's what I should have brought up. I should have just.
So
I was trying to bring up the logo and I can't get it. All right, but go ahead, Mike.
Matt, they have the top 50. This show obviously we were geeked because I think Kane was in there 2 or 3 different times with Team Hell No, him with X-Pac, and then I believe he also obviously made it with The Undertaker for the Brothers of Destruction, not Discussion. But the top 10 for WWE, Matt, goes the Bulldogs at 10. Brothers of Destruction at 9, number 8, New Age Outlaws, 7, Usos, 6, Legion of Doom, 5, Dudleys, 4, Edge and Christian, 3, Hart Foundation, 2, the Hardys, and number 1, as you said, was the New Day. Matt, at least in the top 10, any surprises for that 1 to 10?
I would have thought, considering they have their own like DVD, I would have thought the Brothers of Destruction would have been higher than 9, but I think what everybody would probably say is the agreeable surprise is the New Day. I think I might have just changed my tune when I read it, and I might have just I think the whole point I wanted to bring it up was I'm pretty okay with that. I don't know if I would have put them in the number 1 seed, before. I don't think I would have, but I certainly have a new top 5 that may or may not feature them that we'll get into in a second here. But yeah, that is absolutely the big surprise is that number 1.
I disagree. I think the New Day is probably the best pick you could do as far as staying power, feeling fresh, being inventive, being funny, having to have that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson moment where people hated them. And it was all about their like commitment and effort to eventually, go from like a over the top babyface where we were all like, what are you guys pushing, WWE? And then they turned it into a heel gimmick, and then it was a funny heel gimmick, and then suddenly everybody loved these guys. I don't know if, how much of what WWE had planned actually, went and occurred, or if it was just, these 3 men getting together and making the best of this gimmick. Because you've heard them talk about it on their podcast. The 3 of them were kind of floundering. They didn't know what they're going to do with their careers. And, they just kind of got lumped together in this tag team with a bunch of potentially, disastrous names potentially thrust upon them. But the New Day came together. They've won tons of championships. They've all transcended outside of WWE. Right. Whether it is through video games or, Big E's got his inspirational cartoons. Kofi being a huge symbol, in the past 2 years of, WWE and wrestling, finally given a chance, a main event push, a main event title to a black superstar. So this is a big deal. Wouldn't have happened if those guys hadn't gotten together. As far as the top 10 goes, maybe it's just, the recency bias, but I could honestly knock down the Hart Foundation a little bit. And I just because of how many great matches I've seen them have, especially with the New Day, where, like you said, we would be fine watching them, battle every single pay-per-view. And it was because the chemistry was so good. It's like they both knew each other's moves. And so they both had to keep getting more creative in terms of like that classic tag team commentary line about, they did the scouting, they know each other's moves, and they would still find a way to just keep raising the stakes, getting more creative. I can honestly put the Usos probably in the top 5. And I mean, the top 10 they put together is really strong. But I could see Usos top 5 and Hart maybe dropping down to 6.
Fethdar gave us his top 5. He's got Edge and Christian, the Hardy Boys, the Dudley Boys, and then New Day and the Legion of Doom. It's a very good list because it's very similar to mine. I don't know if you're ready for me to throw mine out. I realized I needed to change mine because this is clearly, Mike, we're talking the top 50 WWE greatest tag teams. And there was not a moment where the Harlem Heat made an appearance, and I threw them in my top 5. So I'm going to take them out. Right, I was making my top 5 of all time. So the Harlem Heat are in there. I'm just going to change
before you list them all, though. And what would you say your criteria was for teams that made your top 5?
This honestly, and I'm glad you asked this question. This is purely nostalgia. This should always be who affected you the most. Like if you're trying to piece together championships and who had the best record, what I thought was really silly is our boy Sean Ross Sapp, that I give a hard time to, listed out like the number of matches that tag teams had on Monday Night Raw and trying to say that the New Day didn't deserve to be in the top spot. And it's like, calm the fuck down. It's a fucking list, dude. But to come up with that research is way overthinking it, because you could become, I mean, really what we're talking about here, Mike, are 3 tag teams that should be in everybody's top 10. And it's because of a couple of WrestleMania matches, really, that will go down as legendary tag team matches. Those ladder matches, of course, is what I'm referring to. But I guess, I needed to change mine. So shout out to Harlem Heat, who I unfortunately just crossed off my list and stuffed another team in there. I kind of, I wanted to do this, and I again, this all has to be nostalgia. This has to be fueled by that. Who gives you the most good feelings, I think, is how you do this. And good feelings come from those legendary matches. Mike, good feelings do not come from knowing that they had the most matches on Raw. They don't come from knowing that they had the most wins on Monday Night Raw or most pay-per-view wins. It's those huge moments. So, with that, I got to say, it's Brothers of Destruction. We wouldn't be here right now. Number 1, easily. Number 2 was the first tag team I fell in love with when I started watching wrestling. So this was elementary school days. Mike, talking the Hart Foundation, but I'm talking Owen Hart and British Bulldog, and I threw in like the honorable mention of Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil because that's really the tag team they're talking about. But Mike, when you and I got into wrestling, we had our Owen Hart and British Bulldog action figures that we would play with. So there's the love right there. I do have New Day in there. I have Edge and Christian, and then the Hardy Boys. So really, if you had gone to 6, it'd probably be the Dudley Boys. It's very easy probably to throw in the New Age Outlaws, because really, and I'm probably lying to myself right now and not putting them in the top 5. When I was first trying to think of my favorite tag team, I couldn't get their name off my mind. But, that's not always the best way to just, whoever is the first name that comes to mind is your top 5. But I a lot of respect to the New Age Outlaws. I mean, who wasn't sitting there rattling everything off with Road Dogg?
I can't even hear ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Yeah, I can't. It just, whenever I hear ladies, I just have to finish it in my head and do the whole Road Dogg shtick.
Fethdars right there. New Age Outlaws were super close. I mean, that's coming back to your point, Mike, that this actually is a pretty well done list. I completely agree. If I was going to change it, going back to that top 10, I'd probably move the British Bulldogs out. And I mean, honestly, if I was going to redo WWE's top 50, I would take out any of the bottom 25 and in some capacity put in Harlem Heat, because I know that they acquired them and they're just trying to say they're WWE exclusive, that they weren't saying WCW, but
I mean, they went to the trouble to put these guys in the WWE Hall of Fame, and that was one of the first teams you and I really gravitated towards. Stevie Ray and Booker. Stevie Ray being the muscle, and Booker T coming in with the Spinarooskies, and the crowd just used to explode for that guy. And it helped build him into the singles, WCW heavyweight champion that he eventually became. And one of the few guys to really, excel from WCW into WWF. Mainly his feud, against Stone Cold. So it was, for me, really tough to exclude him from that.
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking like pure nostalgia, and Fethstar gave us his list here. I do like it. It's drawing power, mic skills, charisma, in-ring work. That's his usual criteria. But then, like, wasn't it fun watching Stone Cold and Dude Love tag team for like half a year? Like, I love that to death, and I will always remember that. Probably helps too that there's a video game dedicated to retelling Stone Cold's entire career. But Mike, is there anybody? Because what I also like in this list too, I just want to throw this out there. Another 20 years goes by, because in this list of the top 50, you'd find certainly, like we talked about, the New Day. You also have the Undisputed Era ranking higher than Shawn Michaels and Triple H and DX, which is really, you got to think Triple H got involved there to knock his own team back, because that is a huge knockback, I think, for that team to number 21 and below Undisputed Era, which I wouldn't say I necessarily disagree with. But again, just to continue my point here, the New Day, the Undisputed Era, Mike, the Street Profits are number 33 on this list. And there was one more. I would put the Bar kind of on this conversation. You couldn't, what? The Shield is a number 22. They probably belong in this conversation too. Of the question I'm about to ask, who of those teams? I guess I don't want to specifically include the New Day, but who's going to be in the top 10 out of those teams in another 15 years?
Well, it's hard for me to put the Street Profits up there because I would think that Montez is probably going to go solo at some point and just be one of the biggest money events in all of wrestling.
Yeah.
Maybe if Moxley hadn't left, I could probably see the Shield going up a little bit more because all those guys did was win matches and win gold. And people loved them. They did that full trajectory where they were bad guys all the way to that point where we loved them. And then once we loved them, they turned babyface. That's when they, broke them up. That was, the end of that story. So I can definitely see the Shield kind of climbing up this list.
Especially if there's a return from Mr. Mox, because I don't know.
A very unlikely return.
I don't know. I heard today Renee on her podcast, Renee Paquette, thrown out there that Triple H actually tried to help and take care of John because he had tendonitis, I think. Anyways, it was something where he was trying to make sure that his boy could get healthy, and I think it could be something that if Vince was to step away, and I think a lot of people who are wrestling fans kind of share this idea, like we're always fantasy booking, 10 years in the future, right? If Triple H were to take over and the types of people that he was able to bring back to the WWE and the types of talents that he saw would have made a great future WWE, and he was trying to build through NXT, I think there's a great possibility that when he takes over, or maybe he even creates his own company, that there's going to be I guess, I don't know. I don't want to say like a mass exodus from like other brands, but there's certainly going to be an easier hand to shake, I feel like, in creating, a contract to have some of these guys continue to wrestle into their later years and keep making some of that money. I think they'd be happier to shake Triple H's hand. So maybe in those days is what I'm guessing. Mox comes back, shakes the hand of Triple H instead of Vince, and bingo, bango, you're in the top 5 tag teams of all time. It's all it takes.
That's new ownership would definitely, I think, kind of radically change, talent acquisition from that point. As far as people, I think Triple H has a really high approval rating. Not just talent. Everybody, he almost gets treated like Dusty Rhodes, where he's just this legendarily like helpful fatherly figure for so many different people who've come up through NXT, wrestled in WWE, then are trying to build careers outside of that. So it's pretty amazing the impact, positive impact that guy's had on so many wrestlers' lives.
Do you think this goes to you and Fethtar, Mike? Do you think the relationship between Triple H or Paul Levesque and Stephanie McMahon will either need to end for his own company to be created, because Fethtar's right there with me. He sees Paul making his own company. Does that relationship need to end, or will it end the relationship? What happens first? Fethtar, you just let us know in the comments. I'll read it.
I think hell would freeze over before Paul Levesque starts his own company. Matt, you don't marry the boss's daughter and then leave. Matt, you stick around, you wait till the old man dies, and you take over. That's what he's doing.
I hope so. He's been demoted quite a bit. So maybe.
I have a couple more for you here, Matt, and feel free, Fethtar, Amy, if you're still out there. I got top 5 hot tag wrestlers, and what I mean by that is you're usually the big boy in the tag team. So if there's somebody I'm forgetting, Matt, let me know. Fethtar, Northmoto, Amy. I got my new friend Sarah D's coming in. These are the guys, who are just standing on the apron, just holding that big, helpful hand out as they watch their poor babyface partner just, get turned bowling shoe ugly, to steal some catchphrases from our good buddy JR. He might say bowling ball ugly at this point. Matt, I had 5 guys here that hopped right out, and they were usually the beef of the group. And Matt, I'm gonna say DX. It would be Triple H. Shawn Michaels would eat all the bumps, just get absolutely punished by the opponents, and then Triple H would come in with those running knees, turn the tide of the match, and eventually get that last tag for Shawn Michaels to come in, hit a sweet chin music. That's the end. Matt, so that's my 5. Number 4, I'm giving it to Jeff Hardy. I feel like Matt Hardy was often eating all the punches and kicks from the Dudleys and Edge and Christian. Jeff Hardy would come in with that extra bit of agility that few wrestlers, even today in this hyper athletic wrestling realm that we live in, could really touch peak Jeff Hardy. The whispers in the wind would turn the tides. So yeah, that was another really big hot tag. Matt, maybe a silly one. I'm going to say Big Cass. Now, I know he kind of gets it by default by tagging with Enzo, who was never going to be, the offensive mastermind, but yeah. Enzo knew how to look like he was hit by a car. And, one man would reach a 7-foot tall arm out over the ropes and save, this poor man who looked visibly assaulted, with the eyes bugging out of his head. Matt, number 2, it's got to be Animal. Hawk, even though he was full of beef himself, Animal would come in from Legion of Doom and definitely turn things around. But Matt, I got to say, he's made 3 entries on this top 50 list, and for good reason. Whether he's rescuing Daniel Bryan, X-Pac, or even The Undertaker. Matt, my favorite hot tag of all time has got to be Kane. It's got to be Kane. He was the biggest. He would choke slam everybody in the match. Just barely not choke slamming his own partner.
Not just the choke slam, the uppercut. It's not a thigh slap. You got your forearm slap, I think.
Occasionally, he would even choke slam his partner onto the opponents. He would do that a few times with Rob Van Dam and X-Pac. So I got to say the number 1 hot tag of all time has got to be Kane. Matt, is there anybody in that top 5 you would throw in?
Yeah. I would keep the Big in there and put in the Big Show. Big Show had tag team partners all over the place. But winning titles with Chris Jericho, The Miz, Kane, The Undertaker, Scott Hall, Sting, Lex Luger. The man was always the hero to some of the greatest of all time. Like, they would take the punishment, and Big Show would come in, either choke slam or the big punch. So I'm going to say Big Show should probably be in there, only because it's tough. Like, you want to recognize Big Show for more than just being tall. And maybe that's how we do it. Maybe we're forgetting that he was actually a great tag team, hot tag wrestler.
Yeah.
And we just don't give him enough. So, yeah. Oh, and the Fethdar, this is just our list. Mike came up with a fabulous idea. This is actually something we're gonna have to turn this into its own solo YouTube video, because this would get a ton of hints. But yeah, if you want to recap real quick, Mike, did you have those in order? Because I feel like it's all over the place with this list. Because you said...
I only had to. Yeah, I think I only had to switch one name.
How do you feel about that Big Show being in there?
I gotta say, I'm not gonna take Jeff Hardy out. The only one I would maybe take out is Triple H, because Big Show's got the longer resume for this. I'm gonna put Show in there. They're mostly big guys, with the exception of Jeff Hardy. I can't take Jeff out of there because he's the hottest hot tag. Matt, sometimes he was so hot he would take off his tight nylon shirt. It was such a hot tag. He couldn't even take his own very thin fishnet shirt, and he'd come in and rescue his brother and best friend, Matt Hardy.
Now, you had two other opportunities here, Mike, to put in Jimmy/Jay Uso. I think would have been a fantastic answer.
If Michael Cole can't tell them apart, then damn it, neither do I.
No, it's just the idea that either one would be. You have probably The Rock. For the Rock and Sock connection would have been a great answer.
Big E would have been a good one.
Yes, I was going to end on Big E. That is probably. I mean, right now, if we're going to rank the New Day as number one, and we're going to agree that they should be in the top 5. Absolutely, Big E was always there to save Xavier Woods or Kofi.
The only reason I didn't want to put him in there is because he always has that scary spear through the ropes, and it always looks like it hurts Big E more than the opponent. So that one always scared me. Fethdar with The Rock was a pretty good hot tag. Yeah, he goddamn was. That crowd would explode when the Rock finally entered the ring, laid some smackdown, spit on his hand a little bit, and hit people right in the face, right in the mush.
And the last one I think worth mentioning here, and I hope I get a pop from you, or at least somebody watching.
Oh, Matt's putting a lot on the line. He's overselling it. Let's see.
Only because when he would come out, he had the moves.
If you say Eric Rowan,
the crowd would pop too. If I say who?
If you say Eric Rowan, so help me. That spinning heel kick was pretty cool. I mean, nobody can top that.
I'm gonna go with Rikishi from Too Cool. I think Rikishi would come out and do the not the what was his butt move where he'd squish his butt in your face, like
stink face.
Stink face. Thank you. Yeah, and it's Rikishi in his Too Cool days before he ran over The Rock, but Rikishi in his Too Cool days, like he was always there to save those guys, and that's how the relationship started. It was just Scotty Too Hottie and
Grandmaster Sexay.
Yeah, Grandmaster Sexay.
Grandmaster Sexay, Matt. I saw you hesitate. Huh? One of the great tag team wrestlers of all time.
Oh, I doubt anybody missed the hesitation or the. But no, then Rikishi came in and saved him because he was involved in a 3-on-3 match, and then they gave him the sunglasses, and they started dancing and turned that Too Cool group into something that was too cool. All right, I'm all for it.
Matt, I'm gonna say I'm on board with that. I could put him in there.
Thank you, I appreciate it. All right, problem. Mike, do we have time for a festival of friendship?
We don't. We have one more thing I wanted to look at tag team wise. Now, I know that we looked at arguably top 5, just in terms of performance. We looked at top 5 hot tags. Matt, I also put together the top 5 fun teams.
Oh my god!
So, I don't know why you're underselling it, you son of a bitch. We talked about the criteria for why you would like a tag team, and I gotta say one of them, even if it wasn't about the Sean Ross Fappin, what's his name, man? Sean Ross
Sapp. I don't know.
I don't know why we're quantifying with match appearances. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not going to be friends on his show, I guess. Not going to be guests anytime soon. But I had the ones that touched my heart, where they either made me laugh really hard or I just fell in love with them. Man, at number 5, it's got to be the Kabuki Warriors. 99% of their promos were not even in English, and we still had a great time listening to whatever the hell they were talking about to each other. They would come out and do dance routines. They would bring out flutes and recorders. They would smile. They would beat up Becky Lynch and Charlotte with ropes and fire extinguishers and green mist. And somehow they're just one of those teams they could literally do no wrong. We cheered for them when they were bad, when they were good, and especially when they would throw their heads back and do their evil cackle. So the Kabuki Warriors absolutely make this list. Matt, at number 4, it's a team we actually saw live in a Royal Rumble, and people's hearts were broken when poor Damian Sandow did not successfully cash in his Money in the Bank opportunity. And the only reason he actually got that briefcase in the first place was because of the acting performance he did as the Miz's double. Mizdow was one of the most over acts for a good year and a half. 2 years. And it was all attributed to Damian committing to just absolute ridiculousness, miming and copying and parroting every single thing the Miz did. Matt, you can't not have these guys in there. Number 3, I'm going in a legendary direction. Matt, it's the Mega Powers. If you haven't watched the team get together, it is one of the funniest things you've ever seen in your life. Man, these guys are so powerful. They have to hold their own hands back before they shake hands because the two universes are about to collide. It got a little sexual when you watch it. The way they really just embraced, the man meeting the man meat of the other man. But their opening promo is, we might just blow the whole planet up, the stratosphere, the ionic sphere, the madness of the mania. I'm still in a state of shock. I'm not coming down for a while, Mean Gene. Yeah. The mega, yeah. The mega powers, yeah. Man, if that doesn't get you jazzed, oh my God, just go on YouTube. It's a 2-minute segment. You're going to be jacked for the rest of the week. Hogan and Randy Savage, mega powers. Definitely really, really fun. Matt, number 2. When WWE does their cuts, this has to be one of the ones that they go back and regret. Just the Iconics. Billy, Peyton, my God, what a tandem. They literally got to throw shade at every single of the 4 horsewomen. They got to throw shade at the mighty Kabuki Warriors. Matt, they got to turn Kayla. You go back to journalism class? Huh? Did you skip that one? Hey, Kayla! Kayla, you gotta be joking me! Oh my God. They took shrill Vicky Guerrero comedy up into the mega powers stratosphere. It was outstanding. Their timing, their chemistry. It just sucks that we never really embraced women's tag team wrestling. And now it's again kind of taking a backseat unless you turn on Tuesday nights. But they took it to a whole other level. The Iconics owned that division for a while, as they should have. They were hilarious. They're entertaining. I didn't need 5-star matches out of them, but I'm going to be thinking about them as one of my favorite tag teams of all time. And Matt, give him grief all you want. I know he did probably some really weird things online, but God damn it, when Enzo and Big Cass debuted on Monday Night Raw, that was one of the most electrifying moments in wrestling history. The whole, how you doing? Man, I watched it from 4 different angles. I watched WWE shot, an alternate WWE shot, and 2 fan handheld cell phone camera shots. That was 20,000 people fresh off of WrestleMania screaming their heads off, doing the whole, I'm a certified stud. What was he, a bona fide stud and a certified G, and you can't teach that. That was the whole crowd just eating that up. Doing the whole 7 foot tall for big cats. You can't teach that. The smack talker Skywalker got a Mike Saber for a hater. And then the promo they cut on the Dudley boys. Guys are so ugly, tears run down the back of your head to avoid your face. How you doing? Man, that wasn't cheering or clapping or jeering. That was literally 20,000 people laughing and Bubba and Devon having to hold back their smiles, because that was just masterful microphone work. And if I'm going to talk about one of the funnest tag teams of all time, you're nuts if you don't think Enzo and Big Cass are up there, because we were all doing those chants. I can ask my, either, your wife, my lady, name a tag team that was kind of fun in the last, 15 years, and they could bring up Enzo and Big Cass. And they didn't have any, 5-star matches. That's not what they were about. It was about entertainment level, and Matt, that was 5-star entertainment from both those guys.
Yeah, and I still like it. It's come into my everyday conversations. I say the whole "you can't teach that" all the time, and especially when we're doing like Red Wings coverage, and I'm trying to find a prospect that the Red Wings should draft. They're 6'7". That's what I'm going to mention. You can't teach 6'7". But quick shout out, Greg, all about the Iconics. Greg, you're late, my man, but glad to have you aboard. We haven't talked to Greg in a long time.
Yeah, Greg, throw some of your Kai. Yeah.
Dar, what a great, holy shit.
From way downtown. Mike Breen was here. He'd go, bang! Great one. I could rewatch those guys getting destroyed. What was it, the 2001 Royal Rumble?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That was... except for who's the poor guy who took the header off the mat down there, and it was just played up for laughs when he ate a bump that probably gave him a concussion for a month. Was it Taka? I think it was Taka Michinoku.
You can take that.
Yeah, Jerry the King Lawler and JR played it up. Well, Jim Ross tried to rescue it a little bit, but man, those guys could take a bump. They were part of a very uncomfortable segment, choppy, pee-pee. But they did have their comedic moments for sure.
All right, there we go. Finally got it.
There's the boys.
Jesus.
Yeah. By the way, Greg, if you're just coming in, there we go. Greg with the top 5 fun tag teams. That's my list. We got the Bushwhackers, iconic. Men on a Mission. Yeah. The New Day. I mean, he had multiple trombones. Man, we fell in love with Francesca Part 2. And of course, the New Age Outlaws. Oh my God. If you were like 14, my God, was it 20 years ago almost? If you were 14, 20 years ago, there's no way you didn't like punch your friends in Road Dogg's Ode to Dusty Rhodes, where you threw in a little shimmy shake. And then the big pop. Oh my God! Couple jabs. Yeah. If you had to pick like your top, I don't know if I could do a top 5 actually off the top of my head, but I have 2 names, 2 tag teams right now that I'm going to play the same game I played before, but I'm not going to put you on the spot. I would absolutely put the Miz and John Morrison on like the who's leading the way right now on that list. Of course, if Greg, I do like that you're bringing up the New Day, because clearly they're never gonna get knocked off that list. But another good one right now, and I hope everybody's had a chance to check them out because they're all in, is The Way on NXT. That is a tag team that is all about fun, and Austin Theory and Johnny Gargano. I don't know. It's like it's like classic Laurel and Hardy stuff. I mean, knocking into each other like slapstick up the yin yang. It's great. Trying to do high fives and fist bumps and messing up the timing. Just like food fights and like it just
mishaps that we'd be used to from the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Shorts, black and white shorts.
Yeah,
it's just great stuff from them. It's super underrated.
Well, one that we, obviously you and I are big marks for Grizzled Young Vets, but that's kind of in the promo work. I'd say more in ring, like a comedy duo. I would put Mustache Mountain up there. For the longest time, they would do those, those fakes where they would throw a fist up and you would look up and then they'd punch you in the gut. It was almost like a Three Stooges routine.
Yeah.
And then they would win too, and they were really good at wrestling. And they also had a really good Trent Seven. He could have arguably made the list for one of the best hot tags. Tyler would take a lot of heat, and then Trent would come in and bring the power of the group. So that's another one that deserves some mention today.
Man, yeah, I have new ideas now. Like I want to go like, all right, that's fine and dandy, but who are the best, big men tag teams? And I'm like, APA and Brothers of Destruction. All right, we shouldn't do that. We'll come back to that. We'll do that later. We'll do that some other day. We haven't really given a lot of credit to what's going on in other brands, but I'll put the asterisk that the whole conversation started with the top 50 WWE tag teams. So that'll be the long and short of it. The Undisputed Era snuck in, even though they've never technically been on Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah, how did Undisputed Era make it and not Harlem Heat? Come on, man. Bunch of baloney.
Mike, do you want to do the Festival of Friendship? Because we are coming up on an hour.
Yeah, we'll do our tweet length top 3 moments of each show. So we'll try and make it tight and concise.
Can we do a tweet length for the top 3?
Wow.
All 3.
If you can do it, Matt, so we're doing the top 3 moments, starting with 3. There's always a dishonorable mention. Matt, moment number 3 for next Extra Time Wrestling this week.
Wait, so what am I doing? Am I doing all 3 in
I don't know. 100... If you can, do it. If you can't, I accept.
All right. Well, this is going to be easy. All right.
Doesn't sound very easy, Matt.
Champion MSK. Champion MSK number 3. Number 2 is the number 1 contender match for the NXT women's titles. Io Shirai and Zoe Stark go over. Number 1 is Hit Row becoming officially a hot faction with Isaiah Swerve Scott going over Bronson Reed for the NXT North American Championship.
All right, I'll get my tweet length out of AEW this week. And there was their first Wednesday show in a while. We would have given it more time, but this tag team stuff is near and dear to our hearts. We're the goddamn brothers of discussion. Come on. Moment number 3 was the ode to the pandemic era. Yes, they did kind of butcher the intro into the video, but definitely some cool highlights in there. A lot of them John Huber focused, as it should have been. Rest in peace, Brody. We miss you, bud. Moment number 2 is just Jungle Boy continuing his ascent, into the heavens, into the upper echelon. Matt, this guy's going to be running the company pretty soon. And moment number 1, I was going to give it to the Young Bucks with their new heel facial hair. One of them grew a beard. The other one grew a mustache. It looks really funny. But Matt, moment number 1, unquestionably, was Sammy Guevara and MJF tearing the house down. Man, they got to start wrestling at like 9:30. They got like 25 minutes to beat the crap out of each other. Again, we love tuning in to watch. I like Jericho promos still. I still like watching Cody matches. But anytime that the show focuses on Jungle Boy, Sammy, and MJF, it's like a crystal ball into the future of that production. So those guys are really good on the stick. They put together a hell of a match in the ring, particularly these two in the main event, and it was a real treat.
And a quick shout out to Otis at the end of his career. Now that I like what Feftar said there.
Get him, Feftar.
Yeah, he's it's really sad. Like looking back a year and. Like he was literally holding Mandy Rose week after week. He at least had some scruff to hide that neck, or do we call it a neck?
I don't want to shame him, but it's not the best look sometimes for our bigger friends to hack the beard off. Definitely does a lot of protection in certain areas. Definitely less flattering for some people. But I don't know if I'm going to lose Matt here. It looks like his internet cut out a little bit, and I don't know if we have a way to end the show. So, listen, Fethtar, I am a ticket-buying subscriber to Otis. I had a Heavy Machinery t-shirt. I thought he and Tucky were going to go all the way. I thought the Caterpillar was a pretty funny gimmick. Obviously learning that his trainer was Scotty 2 Hotty, and now the shaved look, I'm not feeling it yet. I know they're trying to get to a point where they're comparing him and making him almost wrestle like a modern day Vader. But it's not the most flattering look for Otis. I think we can all agree.
Sorry about that. I'm sitting here playing with, I don't know why, but I'm playing with the cords that are connecting my camera to my laptop. And of course I unplugged everything. So, all right. Mike, thanks for, what's the word?
Carrying the show. You're welcome. You hot tagged into me and I rescued the match. No problem. Happy to be of service. It's me and Kane up top, buddy.
I was going to say filibustering, but you nailed it. All right, everybody, Thanks for tuning in. Find us at bodpodcast.com, brothersofdiscussion.com. Thanks for tuning in.
North Moto, Amy, Greg, Sarah D, thank you for your time.
Oh, my God, and thank you for talking to us. Jeez, it means so much, honestly. This is hopefully going to be a huge topic for everyone if they're tuning in to check out some of the tag team stuff. But yeah, find us on YouTube as the Brothers of Discussion. We now have a Twitch channel where we're playing some video games. Matt just re-downloaded The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt onto his PlayStation 5, so he's probably going to be jumping in that. And if you guys want to check that out and watch along, we'll see what happens. And also, Mike, we are on pace right now for watch time, YouTube thresholds to finally be able to monetize this goddamn channel. So thank you for everybody that's been tuning in. It's been a blast. So I'm excited to hit that button once we do hit the official number. But I appreciate everybody tuning in since we've hit the threshold that YouTube needs to see before you can monetize. Not the subscriber threshold. So we have two goals to hit. But everyone that's been tuning in to watch our stuff, I appreciate it. And that's it. Let's sail off into the sunset. All right. Thanks, everybody.
You can't teach that.
You son of